today's meeting with a moment of silence in honor of Cindy Campisi Walton and Catherine Sheehan, who both recently passed away. Cindy was a loved member of the staff at Harder Middle School for 11 years, where she taught special ed in the STEPS program. Her impact on students and the Kaneland community will long be remembered, and she will be missed. Catherine was a preferred substitute that served Kaneland for many years, primarily at McDowell Elementary and Shields Elementary. She will be missed by the Kaneland community. A moment of silence for them, please. Thank you. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is now 7:01 p.m. and this is the regular meeting of the Kaneland Board of Education. We would like to inform all board meeting attendees that this meeting is being live streamed and archived for access at any time by our community members on the internet within 24 to 48 hours of the meeting's conclusion. Mr. McCauley, the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Here.
Mr. Cook.
Here.
Dr. Lawler.
Here.
Mr. McCauley.
Here.
Mrs. Simmons. Here. Mr. Stallcup.
Here.
Ryan Kleisner's absent tonight.
With 6 members present, we have a quorum. Is there anything the board would like to move from consent to new business?
No.
Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mrs. Simmons. Aye. Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Stallcup.
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. The agenda is approved. It is now time for board/superintendent salutes. I will turn it over to Dr. Rowling.
We have none this evening. It's kind of a lull in the school calendar, so as you can tell by the crowd, we have no salutes.
Go Knights.
Everyone else here is paid to be here.
Go Knights.
Go Knights.
Second.
The board appreciates everybody in attendance at this evening and invites you to stay as we move into the new business portion of the meeting. We understand that not everyone is able to stay for the entire meeting, and we wanted to make sure you know that this is an open meeting, so you're able to come and go as you need. And we look forward to seeing you at future meetings. Tonight's consent agenda contains the following information. Action items: 1, approval of parameters for accounts payable and payroll, July 2026. 2, approval of the treasurer's report for June 2026. 3, approval of personnel. 4, approval of the destruction of audio recordings from closed session meetings from January 2025. 5, approval of post-issuance bond compliance report. And the informational items, employee position report and Freedom of Information Act report. I will now entertain a motion to approve the consent items listed.
So moved.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mrs. Simmons. Aye. Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Stallcup.
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. The consent agenda is approved. Public comment? Nope. No. Committee updates. It is now time to hear an update from our education committee that met this evening. Looks like you.
So tonight we met with James and Nicole. They talked briefly about some metrics concerning ACT scores, also some discipline data points, and then also we'll talk a little bit more about IEP and IEP gaps as it comes. I'm not going to go into the details because they're going to present in a couple meetings the same kind of stuff they presented to us, so they'll be much more in depth in a couple weeks.
I would just add that the tone was positive.
Yes, yeah, excellent, yeah.
All right, that was the only committee that met this evening. The first, on the new business, the first item of new business is a student academic update for the 2025-2026 school year. Dr. Rowling, would you please provide more information?
I'm going to hand this one off to Dr. Horn to present some iReady information from our K-8 schools.
All right, thank you for that. Good evening. So tonight, what we're looking at for school year 25-26, reading and math data for our 4 elementary schools and for our middle school. The clicker is not working. Probably user error on my part.
There you go.
I think that was Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole did
Yes,
that.
Nicole fixed it. Thank
But
you.
Nicole's a good clicker
That's a
too.
good magic trick.
What? It is working. Apparently, you're supposed to turn it on before you use it. I can't keep up with this new technology. There's a red and a green, and now it's on green, so I think we're good. All right. Yeah, if you just go to view, please. Thank you. All right. The way we measure this with iReady, iReady is our assessment platform that we utilize elementary and in middle school. It is done 3 times per year. This is separate from state reporting. So it's not IAR, it's not ACT, it's our in-house platform that we utilize. iReady is used nationwide. It services about 13 million students, or 1/3 of all students grades K through 8th. And what iReady does is it gives us information that's broken down into 2 different categories, growth and proficiency. Proficiency is determined by iReady that if you are in 5th grade, you should be here. Growth is a little bit more individualized and is based on where students tend to fall. For example, that 5th grade student who's reading on grade level is expected to grow at a different rate than the 5th grade student who's reading on the 2nd or 3rd grade level. So it is individualized. It is an adaptive assessment. It's done online. So it means that for every question that a student gets right, the question becomes harder or becomes less difficult. And that's how it places where the student falls. Kaneland utilizes both growth and proficiency with our students to do everything from MTSS interventions to special education to identifying opportunities for enhancement or even advancement for students, and also uses it for individualized problem solving when we're working with students that are showing maybe some gaps in their learning, or that they're ready to move on to potentially work at a higher level at the next grade. It's also used by Kaneland to do a system analysis. So a lot of what I'm talking about here is that system analysis. So how are we doing as a system? How are we doing school by school? So it's not getting necessarily down into the day-to-day operations that our teachers utilize this for, because our teachers utilize it for the students sitting in front of us. We're taking more of a balcony view of how our students are using, or how our students are performing. So big picture, when the reports come back, iReady is utilizing median growth. That's different than mean growth, and it's not unique to iReady. Lots of tests that monitor this. Median, you line up 100 kids. How are we doing in the median? How are we doing smack dab in the middle? Because when that middle is growing, that shows that the cohort is growing. When you work with means or with averages, you could have a group out here that's really knocking it out of the park, and 75% of the other students aren't. So when we look at that big picture, how's Kaneland as a district doing, or how are our schools doing, we're talking in terms of median growth. When we look at that for reading and for math, both at the elementary and the middle school, we're seeing significant growth. The psychometricians who designed iReady, what they are looking at as positive growth is 100%. In both reading and in math, we're exceeding those expectations overall. So reading is at 131%. Math, we saw it at 107%. Keep in mind, this was an implementation year for a new math tool. I'll get down into how our elementary schools did in a moment here. But the fact that we're seeing positive growth, that is a testament to the hard work of our teachers, hard work of our interventionists, hard work of our coordinators, hard work of our building principals and our district folks leading this work to make sure that our teachers have the right training that they need and the students are getting the right supports. It's also a testament to how great our students are and the phenomenal job that they've done on this assessment. When we talk about growth, there's two different types of growth that iReady breaks this down into. There's that typical growth. Typically speaking, a student on grade level moves about a grade level each per year. 5th grade on grade level should be on 6th grade the following year. Students who are behind move at a different rate. That is folded into typical growth. Stretch growth are the students who have really knocked it out of the park. So instead of 1 year, maybe they move 2 or 3 years. Those numbers are broken down and are reported out to us. When you get down more into the student level, so this is not necessarily that median, this is the number of students that are showing typical growth. We see 61% meeting typical growth within math, within reading. A subset of that are exceeding above and beyond that. So we have 34% going above and beyond what iReady would deem to be typical. So they're really showing growth. What you do see though, the higher you get into proficiency, the lower growth that you have. If you're getting a 99% on an exam, there's not as much room for you to grow as a student that gets a 72 on that exam. So not having that, the stretch growth is not necessarily a bad thing. It just really depends on where that student lands. What is important here is that we're seeing students by and large growing at Kaneland. What gets really impressive is when we break this down by school. When we look at our elementary schools, we're seeing students that are exceeding above and beyond that 100% level. And harder, while you don't see things going above 100%, keep in mind 100% is what we're looking for. That is a good thing. Also at Harder, we are going to be implementing No Red Ink, which is the tool that was approved 2 or 3 board meetings ago to help support our ELA programs there. So we're bringing in new tools for our teachers to help with that work.
So is it just a coincidence that Harder actually exactly hit 100 for both?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Seems unlikely, but yes.
All right. Shifting from growth to proficiency. It's a little less complicated. It's where do the students end up at the end of the year? Do they make the cut or no? So we're dealing with percentage of students that fall into groups. It's not medians, it's not means, it's not too much as far as complicated stats and when you look at these numbers. The graph is meant to be read right, left to right. Dark green is really good. Red is not good, right? So, right. The top number is that end of year assessment and where our students performed. That bottom chart is our beginning of the year assessment. When you see a lot of students in the yellow, that's 1 grade level behind. That's about where iReady expects our students to be at the beginning of the year. It's early September when they take these tests. A 5th grade student performing at the 4th grade level, it's about where you expect them to be. So what you want to do is see them grow and to move forward. And we're seeing that in both reading and in math. Holistically speaking, when we look at our elementary and at our middle school students. Breaking it down by, sorry, my chart is all messed up here. Breaking it down by attendance center for our 4 elementary schools and our middle schools. Just want to take a moment and pause and really take a look at the low number of red up there. That is significant improvement over time. You don't want students struggling. Again, it's a testament to the interventions that we're putting in place and the hard work that's happening within our classrooms. This is our math data. So for 4 of those schools, our 4 elementary schools, it is a systems check on how our new curriculum tool is doing. Year 1, it's something that we're going to continue to work with, lean heavily on the professional development and support for our teachers, making sure they have the tools necessary to do this work consistently throughout the district and go and use a tool such as iReady that will give us that consistent progress monitoring throughout.
Do we expect, and I'm guessing here, do we expect that McDowell's numbers will look better now that we've put those new strategies in place to address the watch list that we were put on at McDowell, I forget what it was called?
Yes, that is we will not know until IAR is out. There's a correlation between iReady and IAR, but they're two different assessments.
Right.
We use this to provide information for our teachers, to provide interventions for our students, and to check on how things are going, because IAR does not come out until the summertime.
Right.
So once IAR is out, that's when we'll know for sure.
Okay.
But based on what we're seeing, we have seen positive growth within McDowell.
Good here.
Reading is similar to math, and that we're seeing at the end of year proficiency, more students landing in the green, and fewer kids landing in the red. This is a year of a review for our literacy tools at the elementary level, so we will be piloting some new tools moving forward. It's also an adoption year at Harder Middle School for our No Red Ink for our new ELA tool there. iReady being part of the way we're going to check to make sure that students are on task and learning the material in a way that we expect them to. Okay, next step. I've talked about this throughout the presentation. Continue to lean in on high quality curricular tools for our teachers, ongoing professional learning for them, making sure that we are working collaboratively to identify opportunities for improvement with our overall process, improvement in our data literacy. It's one thing for me to sit up here and explain how iReady is utilized, what it means, have a conversation with Dr. Rowling about it, but our boots on the ground need to know how this works. So we've done a lot of work with our principals, getting them in place to have conversations with teachers about it. And then our teachers at our schools, 2 buildings in particular this year, worked on setting iReady goals at the student level. So not talking holistically, how are our schools doing, or individual schools doing, how are individual students doing, and what can I as a teacher do tomorrow to have an impact on that learning. The data literacy piece, and that's actually something with the McDowell targeted process and our collaboration with their ROE, that was a recommendation for improvement within McDowell that we're able to implement across the district. And then strengthening our MTSS support, making sure that nationally normed references such as iReady are part of it. Classroom-based assessments are absolutely part of the conversation. So is teacher feedback, but it is a triangulation there. So it's what the teacher's doing in the classroom, what the teacher observation is, and then the hard science with a tool such as iReady to guide how we're providing interventions for our students. All right, I've done a lot of talking up here. Can I take some questions?
All our elementary schools seems to be doing well, but Blackberry Creek seems to be especially doing very well. Are you facilitating a conversation between Mrs. Ward and the other principals
Yes.
and the MTSS to share what they're doing?
Yes.
To the other two?
Yes. Yep. And then some potential changes to some structure might occur because of that.
Okay.
But yes, that's ongoing.
Okay.
And did begin before even the final assessments were done. This was something that began in the spring.
Oh, great.
There seems to be a big drop once a kid leaves the elementary school and enters the middle school. What accounts for, is that us? Is that just the transition from 5th to 6th? What accounts for that drop off?
Transitions are tough at any level, 5th to 6th, 8th to 9th. At the middle school level, the content becomes more. At the elementary level, you're learning to read. The older you get, it's more reading to learn, and then the content starts to ramp up at a time when adolescence kicks in. So are there,
That's a bad idea.
yeah, is there opportunities for Kaneland to improve the system? Yes, and the things we're working on, I mentioned No Red Ink, mentioned the math curriculum tool review that we're doing. Those are things we can do to help mitigate that. But is it typical to see things change when students become middle school aged? Yes.
Well, I think another piece of that is, the number of grade levels you can actually be behind. Right? If we just showed kindergarten data, like there's very few kids that are that far behind because there's nothing to be behind from, right? As you grow, there's more grades to be behind, and therefore, and there's also a buy-in piece, right? And so, I know that I've had some conversation with Mr. Faulkner, and I think Dr. Horn has too, about some goal setting and helping kids understand the importance of it. But having been a middle school teacher, it's a
it's a different.
interesting time in a child's life. So
It's 3 short years for 3 major shifts, the 5th to 6th grade, and then 8th to 9th. And then the senioritis that kicks in 8th grade is a very real thing. But certainly room for improvement for how we structure. And while you have to take that into consideration because we are centered on the whole child, we have to understand those developmental things that the kids go through, making sure that they have high levels of rigor and high levels of support is something we're going to continue to push forward.
Thanks for that answer.
Do you have the data for students with IEPs, how it breaks?
Yes, we do. The data was not historically coded in iReady to reflect that. That has been changed moving forward. It is something that, looking at that gap, that we are committed to making that a better, we're designing a better system to report it. When we are working with case managers have access to their students and to this data.
Do you have data on how we compare to Kane County, how we compare to the state of Illinois? Other larger metrics?
Yeah, that's it's iReady gives us nationally, so that is a little bit different than what you're asking for. Within Kane County, not everybody's using iReady, so there's some variations there, and it's also not published, so we don't necessarily have access to it.
So you'd have to reach out to the
You'd have
individual
to reach out
school
to
or
them.
district.
Yes.
But we would get that data that Scott's asking for in terms of IAR. Right?
correct.
IAR,
That's
yes,
So it's a
absolutely.
different.
Yes.
That'll be
Different
released at the
metric.
end of
Yeah.
October. We'll be able to discuss that. I do believe they give us in Illinois,
They give us Illinois, yeah.
and so we can get that to you. We can ask for that
Yeah.
information.
I
get
can
that
I
out.
can put that in a board update on how we do within the state, within the nation.
Yeah.
But compared to, because I know we've identified schools as our comp districts, we can't necessarily pull all that. Not all of them are iReady.
Anything else? All right,
All right, thank you.
there is
Thank you, Dr. Ron.
no action necessary for the student academic update for the 2025-2026. The second item of new business is discussion and feedback of the Athletic Code of Conduct updating. Dr. Rowling, would you please provide more information?
Yeah, so this is something the board had asked for as part of a discussion item. We were already looking at the athletic code of conduct, or actually the general code of conduct, because it applies to all extracurricular activities. So Dr. Atkins has been spearheading that, trying to work with administration and coaches in the summer is not always easy getting them scheduled. So he's going to provide an update as to some of the initial conversations, and please provide any feedback so that he can continue to work on this as we gear up for the next school year.
Thank you, Dr. Rowling. So, as we heard from the board that we wanted to look at this, one of the first things we did was, of course, pulled our code of conduct. The last time it was adjusted was in 2013, so this process is long overdue. Our code of conduct addresses, as Dr. Rowling said, athletics, activities, and then kind of co-curriculars, and there is a difference between those. Athletics would be the stereotypical traditional athletics you think of, our sports teams. Activities would be a variety of activities that we have at the school, DECA, but it might not be the Dungeons and Dragons Club, but it might be. So there are some variances with activities, and then the co-curriculars are activities that students do after school that are performance-based for performance-based classes. Chorus, band. They have requirements that they have to do outside of the classroom, but they are tied to classes, so we have to manage those a little bit differently. So the first part of our work is going to be looking at the athletic side of it, but as Dr. Rowley mentioned, there's going to be a lot of bleed over into both the activities and then potentially the co-curriculars as well. So, we looked at that code of conduct. It addresses an overall philosophy of representing the school at all times throughout the community, being committed to both your academics and your athletics, to participating fully in your academics and your athletics. You can't come and play sports if you're not coming to school and those kinds of things. It breaks out prohibited behavior into major and minor categories. Those major categories would be just the same things that you would think of. Alcohol usage, tobacco, anything that would be felonious or result in a misdemeanor, hazing, bullying, gross misconduct, so things like fighting. Minor things with the athletics would be things like team rules, like I expect you to come with your shoes laced and you don't one day. That might be a minor infraction. The consequences, our current code of conduct has a 3-strike process. The first time, 22% suspension from the season. Second strike would be a 1-year suspension from all the athletics, and the third strike would be a career suspension, so you would not be able to participate the remainder of your time at the high school. There are also 2 components for a potential reduction of those consequences based on either self-reporting or if it's alcohol or tobacco or drug-related participation in an outside program at parents' cost. So, and those will be things we talk about in a few minutes.
May I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
2 questions on the last one. It is the 3. I was reading this. The 3 strikes process. Could you? Is it? I don't know if Dr. Woolman would be able to answer this better, but how often is that actually used?
It is not,
think we've got
because
it. It
typically our
doesn't,
students
I don't-
don't get to that
Okay.
second or third strike.
I think
Typically-
we had a girl get to the 2nd strike this year, and it was the first time in a long time.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So, I would think that if we have a student getting to that level of suspension, that there's
Mhm.
probably a lot more supports being put in place than just athletic
And
consequences.
a strike's a major, not
Correct.
a minor. Okay.
Correct. So to look at this, we took the athletic director and I have had several work sessions the last couple of weeks where we reviewed the code of conduct. We looked at some of our comps. There was an interest in the board, I know, looking at a variety of different comparative schools. So we listed those schools. We pulled their code of conducts. One of the first things that we noted with that is that Kaneland's consequence steps were relatively light compared to surrounding comps. And what we looked at, typically there was a more significant consequence right out of the gate, that stemming from a philosophy that, and some parents, some students, some coaches might disagree, but it is an extracurricular. You know, we do have athletic teams and everything else, but we're a school first. And so some of the comps that we looked at really adopted that philosophy. We were at 22% for that first strike. The average was right around 40% for that first strike, somewhere between 30 and 50, so about 40%. There were a couple that were more, well, one was more egregious, and we were the least egregious or aggressive consequence. So we realized we were a little light in that regard. The other thing that we noticed is that most of our comps had a 4-step process. So not 3 strikes you're out, but 4 strikes, because they're starting off heavy and then it progressively builds from there. And we'll talk about that in a minute with our what we're looking at to recommend to the board at our next board meeting. And then the other piece that we noted was that the comparisons are more thorough. Ours, again, it's many years old. Needs to be updated, and so things that have changed with IHSA, things that have changed with disclaimers or disclosures, policy updates, all the things that you think of like with press policies constantly being updated, this is no different. And we'll highlight one of those with the drug testing in just a minute. So that helped us identify some issues. We've already begun meeting with coaches. We need to meet with all of them together, which is part of the reason we don't have a finalized recommendation for you tonight. The earliest we could do that is a week from tomorrow. But we have met with some of the coaches face-to-face and over the phone, in the hallways, those kinds of things to begin this process. We're going to compile that final draft. We'll bring it back and share with the board for approval. And then once it's approved, one of the other things that we noted with our comparisons is that our current code of conduct is a bit of a passive communication process. So in other words, hey, it's here, check the box, did you get it? Versus parents, before the season starts, before your child can touch the field, let's sit down and talk about all these components. Let's make sure you agree. We're going to have some active participation components that we're going to be able to say beyond a shadow of a doubt that the first time a parent's hearing about their child getting in trouble isn't the first time they heard about what's going to happen because of the code of conduct. So there needs to be a more active process put in place so that our participants and their families know what's expected of them and what happens if they happen to fall short of those expectations. So we'll have that going on as well. So in our handbook, we need to have that clear language that correlates board policies, student handbook topics, IHSA rules to what you do as an athlete and vice versa. So for example, it's a little fuzzy in here, although our code of conduct says that you represent Kaneland at all times and all that. It's a little fuzzy when, hey, this was an academic only, school-based only, community only thing. Show me how it correlates to a consequence for my child at the school. So we want to tighten that up. We want to make sure that that's clear, that if you get into a fight getting off the bus at a neighboring school for a game, you might get suspended from school for that. Matter of fact, you probably will, right? And vice versa. So we just want to tighten that up, make sure that it's abundantly clear that you represent the school at all times. Further clarify what constitutes a major and a minor infraction. So in our current code of conduct, there's some very large terms in there, and then you get into the finite, well, what exactly does that mean? Right? Law enforcement involvement. Did you get a speeding ticket? Should that result in a suspension from the team? Maybe not. 114 on Kesslinger? Maybe. I don't know. So we need to clarify those things so that coaches, students, parents all know exactly where they're going to land. Our code of conduct isn't clear right now about what a suspension includes because it talks about contests and games. So in our opinion, we're most likely going to be recommending to the board that when you're suspended from an athletic team, that includes watching tape, weight workouts, all those kinds of things. You're out for however long that suspension is. We need to update our drug testing policy language to align with the current IHSA requirements. That is something that is changing on a regular basis, and the language that we have in there doesn't match what the IHSA currently does, because you can go to GNC and buy some very legitimate, appropriate things over the counter that could trip what would have been traditional drug testing tests. And so we just need to make sure that what we say we're going to do for drug testing, drug usage, aligns with what board policy says and what the IHSA says. So that way we have that policy basis to stand on with our code of conduct. Again, same thing with attendance policies. What does seat time look like? How much seat time, when, where, why, how? Individual team handbooks need to be approved by the administration. So that way we make sure that what an individual team is asking of their athletes aligns with the code of conduct, aligns with IHSA, aligns with board policy, aligns with the law. So that way you can't have any rules unaddressed or rules maybe over-addressed in a team's handbook. So we'll have those pieces in there. Probably one of the big components of this, of course, is what would be those consequences for our athletes. And this is the first blush. This is not what we have not gotten feedback from the coaches yet on this, and we've not sat down to formalize this for a recommendation. This is just what we have right now. I want to make sure we share with the board. We're looking at a first offense of 33% of total games. Okay. One of the first things that we're going to do as well that we learned from some of our comparison districts is defining what total games means. So for example, if I'm in a sport with a 12-game season and I get in trouble before the first game of the season, what does that mean if my neighbor, who's also an athlete on that team, gets in trouble before the 11th game of the season, right? And so we want to say that in a 12-season sport, 33% is this many games, 66% is this many games, and so on and so on. So that way it's abundantly clear, right?
Chris, can I ask you a question about
Yeah.
that? So when we say they can't participate in the game, are we saying they can't go to the game or just participate, or what is
As,
it?
yeah, as a spectator,
Yeah.
we would want to clarify that as well. I believe that they could if they are spectating.
Mine was-
But spectating does not mean that you come and sit on the bench and watch the game.
Okay.
But then,
Yeah.
if I'm in that place where I'm getting a major consequence, odds are that I'm simultaneously getting some sort of school consequence, which might preclude me from school grounds and all after-school activities during the duration of that suspension. The difference might be here, though, to clarify, is that I might have a 3-day suspension from school, but a 33% suspension from the team, which goes well beyond 3 days. So yes, that is one of the things that we also have to look at to say, what exactly do we mean by that?
And I would love to hear from the coaches, so I don't
Yeah.
want I don't want everyone to make a statement here without talking to them first. And maybe you guys can chime in, but I'm torn in some ways on this because I'm thinking, okay, I'm on the team. I'm precluded from being a participant of the team. But now I'm spending 33% of the season not training, not working out, not practicing with the team, not learning plays. Like, now I'm hurting my team members because of some dumb asinine thing I did, right? So it almost, in my mind, and maybe I'm wrong,
Yeah.
you should have to do all the stuff, including going to the game. You just don't get to play in the game, right? Like, that almost seems like a better consequence, right? Because,
And that could be accountability in a support system,
yeah, I would think, right? Like,
potentially.
I totally agree. Because if you don't go to practice during games, guess what you're doing?
not-
Probably not great things.
Right,
So
that's also a good point.
I think going to practice. I think the games part is very important. That it's only games.
So this was 100 years ago when I played high school
Yeah.
sports, right? But when I was on my soccer team, I remember when we missed practice, we still had to go to the game, but we couldn't dress. Like, we had to sit there and watch the game, right?
Right.
And we were expected to continue to go to practices even if we got in trouble. I think the reason was for those two reasons, right? You stayed participant in the sport, but you also are not getting in trouble again.
And, interesting, Dr. Lawler, in talking to coaches and talking to a variety of different stakeholders,
Yeah.
I think we're split on that, right?
Okay.
Some might say, yeah, you did something really regrettable,
Yeah.
and yeah, you're out. And then, yeah, when you return from your suspension, you might not be ready to play right away. And it might be incumbent on you as the individual athlete to get up in the morning and go work out somewhere and run somewhere to stay in shape, to keep up with things, whatever. I'm not tied or beholden to anything.
Yeah,
What I
yeah.
am tied and beholden to is consistency and uniformity across
Sure.
athletics,
Sure.
so that no matter who the student is, they know what the rules are.
Yeah.
Right? And then also the coaches are in a better position to apply them. So I could see that going either way, and that's the
Yeah.
purpose of the coaches meeting next week, to kind of get that input and see what they say.
And
Because
I
I can
agree
see
with
that too. I can see that too.
I agree with what you said too, and I love the idea of us making this an active thing, right? Like, again, I remember when I was in sports, like, we had like an honor code we had to adhere to, right?
Mhm.
We signed that honor code at the beginning of the season, and I remember, my mom being there too, and she had to be there to witness that I was not gonna be a goofball, right? Yeah. So I like that idea, yeah.
It's quite an honor
Absolutely.
code.
What's that?
It's quite an honor code. No group ball.
So 33% of total games, first offense, second offense, 66, third offense, 1 calendar year, and then fourth offense would be that indefinite removal for however long they are
So if
still
that
here.
happens to a freshman, heaven forbid they get to all 4, they're done for their high school career, correct? So this isn't a single year, this is your high school career.
And
Okay.
what if you are at your, like, the 11th game out of 12 and you're at a second offense? Will that roll into the next season?
Yep, so we'll talk about, that's one of the bullets right further down here, we'll
Or
get to that in
next
just a
sport.
second. No, but
The
good
next
question.
sport, yeah.
So, one of the other things to clarify, mitigating circumstances. To be very honest, one of the reasons that some of our students are able to maintain during the academic day is because they want to suit up at night. And sometimes there is value to having that positive peer pressure of participation in that athletics available to our students. Sometimes there's other mitigating circumstances. I will often share the example of the student that I wanted to throw the book at for fighting at school one morning out of the blue, only to learn that his grandmother had passed away in the home that morning, and the child he fought with said something, you don't invoke moms and grandmas, right? But this other kid did. And not that that was a excuse for the behavior, but it was a reason for the behavior, and it was a reason to consider when we're looking at a consequence for that child. So if there's that child that is working, there's some mitigating circumstance, and they act out, how does that play? Who makes those decisions? How do we make those decisions to then factor that into the delivery of a natural consequence through the code of conduct? So I think it's important to clarify how that may play, right? Clarify what that percentage of the games means. We talked about setting, it's this many games per these sports. Progressive consequences, do they carry from sport to sport throughout the 4-year experience? So for example, if it's 33% of games, and I'm in the 11th game of the 12 game sport, and 33% of that is, 4 games. I do the 1 game of that's remaining, and then do I do the next 3 games of the next sport I play? And we would say yes, that rolls, right? But then 33% of the next sport might not be 4 games. It might be 10 meets. You know what I mean? But still, the idea being that here's this consequence and it's been assigned and you fulfill it, right? And then the other piece that we talked about was suspension from participating while we're doing some sort of investigation. So for example, we don't always get clarity on exactly what happened, who was involved, how bad it was, et cetera, in a given moment. So we may need to say to a student, listen, we just learned about this. You're not playing today. You're suspended while we're investigating. That doesn't mean we drag our feet. That doesn't mean we take our time. But if it takes us 2 games worth of time to investigate something, and then they get assigned a 33% consequence that's 5 games, well, 2 of the games are already done. You know what I mean? And then we can apply the remainder, time served, if you will, to the remainder of the consequence. But we want to make sure that students know that there might be an immediate component to this. And that's different from what we may do in the academic school setting, because this is an extracurricular. So we want to explore that a little bit with the coaches, get some feedback from the board tonight, see what your thoughts are on those things. We had a couple of things that we knew we needed to input from the board on, as the board suggested that we bring this back and look into this and update it. We kind of wanted to get a little bit of direction from you. So that first thing would be the self-reporting and participation in outside programming components. I know the board has discussed things before about like self-disclosing that maybe I have my pocket knife with me or something like that. Is that something that the board would like to have incorporated into our code of conduct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, everybody makes a mistake, right? And coming forward and saying, hey, I've made a mistake, to me, warrants some consideration.
Okay.
That was our philosophy when it came to like the knife, right? Like if the kid would just come and say, oh, I screwed up, I brought this by accident to school, we would give them clemency then, as opposed to waiting for us to find it and then have it, right? That was I think our discussion. Right? Yeah.
Correct. Ownership, I think,
ownership.
counts for a lot. Okay. Any feedback on the progressive nature of the consequences? Does that sound right? I mean, there's no tried and true with this, and we can take feedback about like percentages or 4 strikes or 3 strikes or.
So I was reading through this earlier. I was trying to think through the numbers, right? My concern is that it's not strong enough it's not enough teeth early, right? I might be wrong, but in my head, right, like these are our students that we expect, and maybe it's unfair, but we expect them to be student leaders. We expect them to be the gold standard of what it means to be a knight, right? And I think if you have a harsher punishment early on, that communicates that standard. Though I could be wrong, so I'm thinking out loud.
I'd agree with that. I think it's a little soft. You want to put a sense of fear in the student. The whole thing is to get the student to reflect and to change course and to see
I mean, if you take an 11-game season or 12-game, you take half off the bat. I mean,
Yeah, what do
he
you
could be
think
a
about-
senior. He could be a senior and go, oh, man, I ruined my career. I got scouts looking at me. I got all sorts of stuff. I think,
It's a pretty good deterrent, I think.
yeah, right at the beginning. Start off hard at the beginning, and hopefully that's going to change
What
course.
about a flat rate for the 55% and then second offense also 55%?
Like 55%.
So you have to do it by nines for football, right? So it has to be 55% or 66%.
So are you saying,
Right.
like, do that, but still do, like, 4 strikes? Go with the 4
Yeah,
or
so
the
it'd be
3 strike?
55% of total games, and second offense would be 55% of total games, and third offense would be the same as this.
Okay.
So 55% of the total remaining games, you mean?
Of total games, yeah. Yeah.
So if you've
I see what you're
got
saying.
9
be
games,
5.
then they would miss
Be 5.
5 football games.
And then if it occurs again later that year, and you're in a sport that has basketball has a lot more games,
Mhm.
right? Now you're missing 55%
Yeah.
of those games.
Which is a lot.
And if you're in a spring sport and you're in track, you miss 55%. Now what?
Or it could, if you're a one sport athlete, it would roll over into the next year,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I guess at some point, if you're a single sport athlete, you might run out of games to miss.
Mhm.
I guess I would be as much in favor of, on your second offense, you have to complete an enrollment of something, an outside course,
That's good. I like that. Maybe like a leadership course, or maybe like a
it depends on what it
being a
is. If
community
it's,
members course.
yeah, I mean, if
Join the
it's,
Boy Scouts.
if they were, drinking, then maybe it's AA. If they were,
Right.
or
Mandatory.
something like that, or, vaping, it's something different, or, I don't know what those
Yeah.
training situations could be, I guess. But after the first one, if it's a repeat of the same offense, I would try to do that.
I think that goes into
For
that,
accountable.
some sort of proration for participating in those programs, because I do think too that I don't know that we can compel.
Mhm.
So I don't know that
Yeah.
we can say, this is your second strike, you must go to a drug rehab program.
Most often what you'd see is, you lost 50% of your season. If you go to a drug rehab program, you can reduce that to 30%. That's generally what you see.
Voluntary versus
Okay.
compelled.
That's generally what you see in these types of things,
Okay.
is we'll take some off the top if you show that you're committed to making
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah, and we already said we were
I guess
interested
I'd
in
be
looking.
okay with that.
Yeah. My only concern, I'm more with the 1%. My only thinking though is, what if I'm a student that can afford one of those programs? Can we just create 2 different classes of students then?
We have resources. in
Do
the-
we have?
Yeah, there are resources.
That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to hear, that we have resources for the students that can't afford it.
There's a community mental health program
Okay.
that are available
For
just that.
free and reduced lunch
with-
students or something.
Well, yeah, and out of the county department of health
Okay,
and others.
so we can
We
word it
can
this
provide
way that we
resources
have a
potentially,
system for-
like here's a list of.
Yeah.
Dr. Atkins, did you hear firsthand or secondhand any coaches that expressed frustration about tightening restrictions or anything like that?
I think that yes, we've heard frustrations. I think they vary from sport to sport.
Okay.
I think some of them are, based on historical practices, and for some of our coaches, well, I remember one time this happened with this kid and they did this, and then something similar happened 12 years later to this kid and they did that. Those are hard. Those are frustrations for the coaches. I think they are indicative, though, of what the board clearly saw too, of needing to tighten this up and update, right, to make sure that we're all on the same page. But one of the things that I definitely took away from those conversations, and I haven't talked to every coach, but the ones that I have, is that you need to know our coaches share a common interest of making sure that as representatives of the school, doing something above and beyond what is obligated by the taxpayer to provide to our kids, they have the common interest of making sure that they put their best foot forward at all times, right? And there's a commitment by all of our coaches. They all do it different ways, you know, and all those kinds of things. However, they want our kids to really model what it means to be from Kaneland, to be a Kaneland Knight. And so I think that is going to be the common, you know, attribute to resolving those frustrations. I often think too that they're, you know, again, it depends on who you're talking about and what situation and what sport. When you've got the kid that's clearly headed to the pros, who's not going to play for you for 6 games, you might be a little frustrated by that, even though it's 100% appropriate.
Yes.
And you might be duly talking out of both sides of your mouth of, I get it, they messed up. But it's, to your point earlier, Dr. Lawler, it's impacting the team too.
Right.
But at some point, I think they all would agree that there's this higher standard, and if that's the thing, okay, you know.
Has other schools, or would it be even appropriate, since we are saying school first and, you know, in sports, that our dean be a part of this process? He knows our students, that he can, coaches again, one coach can be a little bit lighter, or like, I know Johnny, and, you know, so let's give him a little space. So if we want consistency, would it be better to have somebody on the outside of all of that to be able to make those decisions, or to help navigate those decisions?
Yeah, and that's part of the procedural piece that'll come with this. A loss of privilege consequence from the school district can only come from an administrator, so the athletic director would have to lead that.
Yeah.
But I think what we're going to be doing is making sure that that happens in conjunction with the dean,
Yeah.
and then input from the coaches. So for example, if you're in a classroom, if you're in my algebra class and you do something inappropriate that the dean then deals with, the dean will come to me and say, hey Chris, how's this kid doing? What's the deal? Is there anything I need to know? Is this a throw the book at him situation, or is this a, you know, cut him a break situation? Here's what I know, what do you think? Then we assign a consequence. And I think that that piece also needs to happen, because I think right now, a thing we would like to improve upon is the communication between what the school side does and what the athletic side does. And so that'll be part of the procedures.
I guess, yeah, I'm more the athletic side, so the coach needs to report things that maybe the dean might not know, you know, so it goes both ways.
True.
And so we pull it away from the coach's responsibility, and even that, you know, coach would be like, hey, you know, Mr. Rollman, the dean and I, we all sat down, these are the things that you've done, this is the consequences for this, and this is what we're presenting you.
Yeah.
So we have, again, we're looking for consistency across the board.
Yeah, that is exactly the question I was going to ask. It's under whose discretion is it to assign a strike? I was assuming it was the dean's, but the question made me think it's not the coaches, right?
It would be the coach's input to the dean and the AD.
Okay.
In our world, to take a privilege away from a child, you have to have a Type 75. You have to have an administrative license. So
Yeah, okay, yeah,
and you
yeah,
have to be, and we do have teachers who have administrative licenses, but they're not the defined administrator. So it would be those people, but they can't do that in isolation. They need to do that with input from.
Yes.
I guess I just would rather see something consistent, that it's not just, this one, Dr. Rollman said yes to this one, and the dean said yes to
Yeah,
that one, or no
definitely.
to that. Like, let's
Correct.
have it where it is always Rollman, the dean, and the coach sign off on it. They speak about it.
Yeah.
Are coaches compelled to report that?
I would think so.
Okay. I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's not, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a professional expectation for all of
Yeah,
our staff.
yeah, it's not part of the code of conduct because it's part of board policy
Okay.
under our ad regs,
I thought so.
5120 and 5120 AP2, that you would disclose these kinds of things on behalf of the,
Okay.
doing what's right for students.
Yeah.
So part of the ethics and all that.
You were mentioning something about procedure. I actually think, I'm glad we brought this up, because perhaps this needs to be an annual or maybe a biannual review of this conduct. I think 13 years is not a good strategy, right? So I think we need to be doing this much more often. I don't know
I
if we
think-
have to be involved in that process, but certainly you all should be.
I would imagine that you could anticipate this being part of the annual student handbook update from our deans. So,
Yeah, I was saying-
you know, I'm involved for a variety of different reasons right now, but this really should be that annual component that you hear, because part of that rollout to communicate this will be that everybody, it'll be part of all of our other comps, it's part of the student handbook.
Mhm.
So it'd be incorporated in the student handbook, they'd sign off on it, everybody every year anyway, but then if you actually are going to be in the athletic program, there's that more active component that we
Yeah.
put into place, where we go over this again, you sign into a meeting, you sign out when the meeting's done, you know, that kind of thing, to make sure that no student can ever say they weren't told.
And it helps too, like we said, we do the student handbook every year, if there's press changes, you know, same thing, IHSA, the fact that there's been IHSA changes and we haven't made those changes, that just helps us accountable to, you know.
Correct.
In any of your meetings, has there been any conversation about, you know, policing? Like when I was in high school, like if you screwed up, the seniors got you, and as a team, you know, there
order the code
was
red?
opportunities for learning that were had. You know,
I don't think as a policy that is something that you'd be interested in.
Problematic.
Because
No.
you're essentially creating a situation where minors will interpret it and it becomes hazing.
sure.
And so you
Okay.
know, we, as a system, that's not the approach you take. I think that there's probably a whole host of attributes that we can all talk about here
Mhm.
that are good and positive, but done wrong are very, very bad.
Sure.
Right? Competition done well is great.
Yeah.
What happens to a young adult when they have good competition and it's structured well and everything else? Kids grow. Competition done wrong can become very problematic. Discipline done right is the best thing for some of our 17 and 18-year-olds. Discipline done wrong can really do some damage. So I think our message of high accountability and mutual accountability is important. How we deliver that message will become incredibly critical.
And
Agreed.
I think like if we do the coach, the dean, Mr. Rollman, they can also have maybe those resources too. They can have this list of like, hey, we see you heading down this bad path, you know, maybe you want to look into this or talk to mom and dad and stuff like that. Like they would be mature enough to then have those further conversations with the student.
The
So the student might
number
open
of-
up and say, hey, these things are going on in my life right now, and this is what's going on, and then how can we help? Or, you know.
The number of times our coaches, any given day, come to the high school. Somewhere there will be a coach counseling a kid, coaching a kid up, doing a study session for a subject they don't teach
Yeah.
with that kid to get him over a hump, sitting him down and going, lunchtime, here,
Yep.
bring the worksheets, we're doing them. It is amazing, and we do those things, and I think making sure our kids know that those resources are there for them, know that kind of here's the box, and you can't go outside of it, but within it, we have all the supports in the world for you.
And it might lead to, I'm okay, but I'm heading down the wrong pathway, but I know I can reach out to my coach, or there's this system now that I'm drowning and I'm peer pressure, whatever, I can go to my coach and get that help too. So it'll encourage that positive part of it. So.
Yeah, I forget the old adage, but every kid needs a grown-up, right? Every kid needs one grown-up they can go to and confide in, right?
Right.
I think our coaches probably sort of fill that role a lot.
Right. Well, and I would combine that with the adage of every behavior is communication.
Yeah.
So somewhere the athlete is telling you something, the student, the child is telling you something when they behave a certain way. So what is that? Maybe it's the teacher, maybe it's our new ALOP coordinator, maybe it's the counselor, maybe it's the social worker, maybe it's the coach. So, yeah. And we talked about that earlier about some of our students, maybe what's getting them through the day is that I'm going to put on a uniform that night and go perform. Next step, so that the board knows, we're going to be working on those final edits. We're going to meet with the coaches on the 28th to review that, get their feedback. We're going to spend some time then finishing that up, and then we're hoping to bring that back as a final product to the board on the 10th. Then with that approved code of conduct, we're going to be sharing it with all parents and athletes at the Nights Under the Lights. And then in addition to that, the individual coaches will have that more active, all right, team candidates, whether you're trying out or not, let's sit down, let's go over this. And then we want to phase in the early fall, the activities component, and then the co-curricular component to make sure that we have all of those things updated. And then also finally have that yearly or ongoing process flushed out really clearly for the board so that you know this is going to come back on this interval. We're going to have input at these times through these vehicles, so that way anything that comes up anything that changes, anything that needs to be strengthened or relaxed, we can talk about and make sure that the board has input. 14 years is too long to.
So when
So
you
let the
bring
board
this
weigh in.
back to us, are you gonna have a list of the athletics or extracurriculars that fall underneath the one we review, and then the next group would be
Yeah.
whichever, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Any other questions, any other thoughts?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So this is not for, I'm probably doing this the wrong time of the meeting, but I'm gonna do it now because I might forget otherwise. I would love to know what other things we haven't looked at in 14 years and look at them. So I would like to have a,
Yeah, we
list.
can-
Yeah, whatever,
We can,
if it's older than my time on the board, we should have looked at it.
yeah, we can start to look through,
Yeah.
we start to look through some of our handbooks and other things and determine what needs updating and provide that to the board. Probably sometime this fall. It's gonna take us a little
Yeah,
time
yeah,
to get
take
through
time,
that, but
there's gotta be.
But yeah, we can provide
Yeah.
something to the board as to when when things were updated last.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Dr. Atkins.
Yeah.
There's no action required for the athletic code of conduct update. The third item of new business is the approval of a strategic plan. Dr. Rowling, if you could share more information, please.
Absolutely. So we have been working on this since March, and I'll need that for the next one, yeah. You can hand it, just if you want to just hand it to Ms. Orfel. Thanks. You can just leave that up too, it's fine. So we have been working on this since March. Gone back with some iterations on the strategic plan. So presented to you this evening is what we view as the final draft after some additional feedback from the board. So I'm just going to read the heavy hitting items. The vision statement being Kaneland Community Unit School District 302 will remain a cornerstone of our communities where every student achieves at high levels and is prepared to contribute meaningfully in an evolving world. The mission statement reading, all Kaneland students will engage in rigorous and enriching learning that fosters curiosity, resilience, and the skills necessary for lifelong success. The Knights Code, our learner attributes, thinks critically and solves problems, reads, analyzes information, applies learning, and develops solutions to real-world challenges. Collaborates and communicates effectively, reads, listens actively, communicates clearly, and engages productively with others. Contributes positively, reads, demonstrates integrity, and impacts the school and broader community. And finally, takes ownership of learning, reads, sets goals, reflects on progress, and takes responsibility for personal growth and achievement. The four large-scale goals that are outlined: academic excellence and learner readiness, ensure that all students attain their academic potential, develop the skills needed to think critically, and apply learning in real-world contexts. Student experience and ownership, ensure each student is supported and connected in a positive learning environment that promotes engagement, academic excellence, and accountability. Communication, alignment, and community trust. Implement consistent, clear, and transparent communication that strengthens district alignment and fosters authentic community engagement. And then operational efficiency and high-quality staff. Ensure resources are used strategically in alignment with Kaneland priorities to maximize student learning and support the recruitment, retention, and development of staff. Included in here, which I'm not going to read, are action steps for each one of those goals for the next 5 years. A couple things I want to point out that those action steps that are identified will drive the focus and the work of the district for the coming years. This helps focus our efforts, give people a roadmap as to where we're going. This, upon board approval, this will be posted online, and then we'll talk about that communication, in subsequent meetings. I also want to point out that actions, year one's pretty set, right? Year two is probably pretty set. But actions may adjust over time, and we'll report back to the board on, are we ahead of schedule? Are we behind schedule? Is there something we need to abandon for X reason, right? We looked at it, it's too expensive. The state loves to send us new things. So changes from ISB, those types of things will drive potential changes largely in years 3, 4, and 5. But That is the strategic plan is presented. I know that I've shared this with the board previously. There's like another 12 pages of action items. I'll save you those. Any comments, questions, concerns, things you'd like to discuss?
Thank you for going the lengths of all the committee meetings and everything, all the.
I mean, I really want to thank not just the administration, but we had a number of community members that gave up 4 nights and sat in a room and gave us a ton of feedback. It was an exciting conversation. It was great to connect. So big thank you to them too.
I also am appreciative that it is not just gonna be this thing that we approve and then we never see it again for 5 years. I love this idea that we're committed to it and that the actionable items will be part of that process. So I appreciate that a lot. Been through a few of these and I'd like to see it actually matter, so that's good.
I would like to insert positively and in front of meaningfully on the vision statement.
I was actually gonna say something because I remember you bringing this up before. And maybe I'm wrong. Does the word positively down here in the learner attributes capture that? Or do you think it needs to be in vision too? That's
I'd like
true
it-
question. I have no idea.
My personal opinion is I'd like it up there, but I guess I'm open to some conversation.
I'm not opposed to that change. I throw a positive everywhere you want.
So do you want to make a formal motion to amend?
Please, yes. Do you need me to?
So you go ahead and form.
I'd like to make a formal motion to amend the vision statement after contribute, add in positively, and then carry on with meaningfully in an evolving world.
Would you like me to read that out loud as he stated it, the whole thing?
Yeah.
All right, so if it is amended, it would read, Kaneland Community Unit School District 302 will remain a cornerstone of our communities where every student achieves at high levels and is prepared to contribute positively and meaningfully in an evolving world.
Okay, so it's moved, second?
Second.
All right, discussion? All right, move the question. All in favor of the amendment to the strategic plan? Signify,
Roll call?
roll call, please.
Absolutely. Mr. Stallcup,
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons,
Aye.
Mr. Cook,
Aye.
Mr. McCauley,
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
All right. Just gonna put it
Motion,
out there if you're gonna say no to that.
the
It's
motion,
an alternative.
the motion,
You're in the minority.
the amendment is adopted, motion and amendment is adopted. So I will then entertain a motion that the Board of Education approve the strategic plan as recommended and presented by administration and amended this evening.
So moved.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. Mankivsky,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons,
Aye.
Mr. Cook,
Aye.
Mr. McCauley,
Aye.
Dr. Lawler,
Aye.
Mr. Stallcup.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. The strategic plan is approved. The fourth item of new business is a construction update. Dr. Rowling, if you could please provide more information.
Absolutely. So upon request, we got some pictures this time. I'm going to hit some highlights. I do want to point out that most of these pictures were taken last Wednesday and Thursday. In walking the building today, it looks different already. And I walked it at 8:30. So I imagine by the end of the day, it even looks different. The changes that are happening right now are happening swiftly. But I'm going to do my best to summarize where we are. Let's see. The writing on that's really small, but progress on the bathrooms. Well, I really have to get my other copy of this so I can read what I wrote. That is the B and C wing bathrooms. So those are located right where those two hallways intersect. I added this picture from today. It's hard to see in the picture, but last week it didn't have a wall. Now it's got a. You can see on the right, it's got a wall. And they're starting to. Last week there was holes in the cement, and they're starting to fill that in. So those are framed in, and they're going to start working on some of the other utilities in there. The new restrooms located near the Commons has the underground plumbing in and is now ready for additional utility work. We're going to be bracing that wall and rebuilding the wall. You can see windows in the back. Those will be filled in, though that room actually behind it, long-term will become the teacher's lounge. For this next year, it's not going to be used at all, but in the phase next summer, that will be converted into a teacher's lounge. Sidebar on that one. So that one is moving along. That one is running slower because it is completely new construction, right? That used to be a classroom. This is the A wing. This one is upstairs, I believe, but the restrooms in the A wing, up and downstairs, have been tiled in. So they're going to finalize those tile work there, and start to move fixtures in soon. The A wing classroom. So these classrooms were more of a refresh than construction, right? So not as much structural work being done in this part of the building. These rooms are painted. The entire wing is painted. The ceiling structure's in. Lights are largely in. When we were walking it today, upstairs they were actually pouring something on the floor to re-level it so that they can start flooring up there soon. Downstairs they were putting in HVAC diffusers, and the fire suppression guy was working. So that the A wing is moving very quickly. I will tell you, it is a completely different look with the new paint colors. When the new lights are in, it's very exciting. That's an A classroom from today, where you can see ceiling grid completely in and getting ready for flooring. The B wing, now the B wing was a little bit different. We had to do some construction there. We had to alcove doors. So previously these doors opened into the hallway. That's not allowed anymore. So we had to actually, at one point, all these walls that you see were gone. And so we have rebuilt those walls. This is actually ready for paint, and the painters should be moving into there this week. We also added some additional outlets, and we made a few adjustments to some rooms that were a little bit wonky. So a little bit of construction inside the rooms, but this area is ready for paint. The C wing. So I also want to point out that what you have in front of you may be different, because I actually went through today, took some pictures and added some stuff. All right, so some pictures that you aren't in the packet are up there. The C wing, that is where we actually tore down exterior walls. We had original windows there. Last week, the C wing was drywalled and getting ready for work. But as of today, this is another C wing classroom that's drywall. There we go. As of today, we have windows, folks. So new windows in the C wing. That was only 4 classrooms, so that's actually going to end up wrapping up last. Additionally, grading has begun on the field house. The machine's pushing around dirt, dumping stone. So that's exciting to see. A few more picture, another picture there. You can see the size of this thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard when you drive by it now. If you haven't driven by in a while, just take the long way home or whatever. You can see how big this thing is going to be, and so it's very exciting that we are underway on that. Playgrounds. This is Shields and Stewart. They were the ones that got the turf this year. They are ready for inspection, I believe, later this week. These 2 definitely should be approved. We have the corn boil, so we've got to get it done for the corn boil. And we do have summer school going on at Stewart. Those kids would love to. I went by there the other day, and right at the end, when they're getting picked up, and there's like 5 kids just like staring at the. It was also, it was like 110, so I wouldn't have let them out anyway. But they look great. We did have a minor issue with one of the slides at McDowell. So the new pieces ordered should be in later this week, but it'll be ready for school. I was over at McDowell today. I did not go into Blackberry Creek. I'll show you why in the next picture. But these are some pictures of the carpeting at McDowell, the new stair treads at McDowell. That's the library. We'll put the books back, I promise. But it just, even though you just change the carpet, it just like smells new and feels new. So we're nearly done with that one. They were doing the last couple steps at McDowell, and Blackberry is a couple days behind this. And then the parking lot at Blackberry is well underway, which is why I did not go into the building. I wanted to avoid that. I think they thought I was a weird creeper because I was driving by like taking pictures in my car. But the Blackberry Creek parking lot is under construction, and we're moving forward. And I want to point out to our friends watching at home, we will have a new traffic layout for next year at the high school. Due to construction, really that east exit, or the east access onto Kesslinger is completely shut off. You can't go there. In addition to about 40% of that front parking lot. That is all fenced off, because that's where the big machines are. So you're not allowed to drive there. So we will be having all students enter and exit off of Meredith. We'll be asking parents to pick up and drop off using the front lot off of Kesslinger. And we're gonna ask parents to wait for pickup till a little bit after 3 to help the buses clear. Buses will be coming in off of Kesslinger and out off of Meredith. Students will load this year on the west drive over by door 8. That'll be a change from what we've done in the past. But we can't fit enough buses in the remaining portion of the front lot. Following the construction, when the construction wraps, next fall, then we may have additional changes, right? This is a temporary. We're going to look at traffic flow overall to try to make sure that we're providing the safest environment for our students. But that is what we expect to see for next year. And a few other items. So land is being cleared over at Harder in preparation for grading to begin. I believe we have the last little pieces for Sugar Grove, so we should be getting a permit any moment. But we are cutting down the corn, cutting down some trees, and getting ready there. We are expecting all of our events leading up to the beginning of the year to be held as planned. So our preview nights and those types of things. There will likely be little opportunity to get in any earlier, though. So I know we've had a couple people request, can I come in on like the 4th? And our answer is probably not. But if we can, we will, right? It's a fluid situation.
These are staff?
No, these are largely, especially families of freshmen that
Okay.
may be missing. So
Orientation.
when we can, we will. It may be that you can see some classrooms and not others. We're going to work as best we can with our staff and with our students and with our families, but it is an active construction site, right? And so, as we've pointed out in the past, it's going to get a little uncomfortable, right? But this is going to be worth it in the end.
Yes.
So other than that, we continue to meet to plan issuance 4. So that is science labs, the CTE section, and a few other ancillary pieces in the building. So we had a big meeting with CTE last week. And then please watch the website and social media for updates. It is changing so fast that this presentation I put together last Thursday is now somewhat outdated. We're also finalizing our stormwater is apparently a very complicated thing. So we are finalizing that stormwater plan, and we expect full, right now we're working off a mass grading permit out at the high school. We expect full permitting in the coming weeks after the county approves the latest iteration of stormwater. We're finding that sometimes what we believe was in the ground is not in the ground, and it's been a whole mess. But we are getting it done, and we've continued to push our construction manager on making sure that we are hitting our deadlines. So they're working 6 days a week out there. Questions?
Exciting. It's great stuff.
We continue to update as we go.
All right, there's no action required for the construction update. It is now time for the superintendent/board report. Dr. Rowling, do you have anything to share?
Yeah, we have a short one. I do want to congratulate junior Jack Bicker, who was cast in the All-State Musical for the 2nd year in a row, chosen out of hundreds of students that auditioned. Jack is a really talented young man. Additionally, junior Joe Ramsey became the first technical theater student to be chosen for the all-state musical when she was selected to be a part of the prop crew. So we have 2 students participating this year. We were very proud of these tremendous theater students and their accomplishments. So go Knights.
All right. Dr. Bogan is not here. The student representative, Alina, is not here. Any board members have anything they would like to share? All right. Are there any topics for future agenda the board would like to discuss? Other than
The one I came
the
from.
review of policies that haven't been touched since the Mesozoic era. All right, it is now time for the second round of public comments. Seeing none, the Board of Education is scheduled for a closed session to discuss Illinois Open Meetings Act, Section 2, Sub C, Sub 11, Section 2, Sub C, Sub 21, and Section 2, Sub C, Sub 1, where we do anticipate action to be taken following the closed session. Once the closed session has concluded, the recording will resume and include the action taken by the Board of Education. I will entertain a motion to go into closed session at 8:21 p.m.
So moved.
And roll call, please. Sorry.
Second.
Thank you. And a roll call, please.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Stolkup.
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. We are going into closed session in a minute. now,
I remember getting it
You really did.
2 hours into that.
it is now 9:40 PM. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the closed session portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The closed session part of the meeting is adjourned. We are now back in open session. I will entertain a motion to approve the settlement agreement in case 2025 LA 276.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Well, we gotta do a roll call on
Roll
that
call.
one. I'll call roll, hold on. I do have, all right. Mr. Mankivsky,
Aye.
Mr. Cook,
Abstain.
Dr. Lawler,
Aye.
Mr. McCauley,
Aye.
Mr. Stalkup,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, the motion carries 5-0 to 1. It's adopted. Second thing is the approval of the previous findings from grievance 2026-01. Approval of the findings. And
Yeah.
yes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and a roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Cook,
Aye.
Dr. Lawler,
Aye.
Mr. McCauley,
Abstain.
Mr. Stalkup,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons,
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye.
Okay,
Motion carries, once again, 5-0 to 1. All right. On the review of the superintendent's professional goals, I'm going to move that goal, of the 5 goals, 4 goals have been met, and that the bonus be awarded accordingly,
yes, per the contract.
as per the contract.
Second. Right, motion.
Okay, okay.
Motion
Second.
and a roll call.
Okay, Dr. Lawler,
Aye.
Mr. McCauley,
Aye.
Mr. Stalkup,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons,
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky,
Aye.
Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Go ahead and adjourn.
It is now a lot later than it should be, 9:50.
43.
43?
Yeah.
9:43 PM, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?